Everybody. I will today I will explain to you a concept about Passkey and blockchain, which is something that in my mind for a very long time, and I wonder if either what is better. But blockchain adaptation is better if we use Passkey, and why it's important. So let's begin. So before I dive in Passkey, let's look at how blockchain works and what is private key and public key. I will remind you that part before I go to Passkey and why this infrastructure is very important. It is going to change the whole blockchain as we know. So let's dive in. First, how we interact with blockchain. So this is what is blockchain? Blockchain is actually we have a bunch of validator in here, and actually they call themselves validator because the action that they do is validate. And what do they validate? So we are user in here. And whenever we want to interact with blockchain, what we do is that we use the private key in our server, in our computer. So what blockchain different from normal like Web2 system is we have a private key and we never expose this private key to anyone. This is very different from Web2. From Web2, whenever you want to use a service, let's say for Google or Facebook or Twitter, what we do is that we register an account, right? And there's nothing private in here because the password is somehow stored in the server. You can tell me that okay, the password it has and everything, but you have to expose password somehow. You have to type key in the password in the website, or the website have to in the server they store a hash version of this password. Blockchain works very different. What they do is that whenever we interact with blockchain in our, let's say, I'm here, I have a private key in my computer, and in this private key, and this private key is actually in the pair with a public key, and this is the pair. They kind of like just one. There's one private key go with one private key. There's no there's no like instant of like you have two public key with a private key or two private key with one. No, they are one, just a pair. So whenever we send a transaction to a blockchain, what we do is that we send this, and what we send is we have a hash. The hash information, which is hash info, is we take the encrypt function. We do encrypt function, and we key in the private key, and we take the original message. Whenever something you want to send in blockchain, you type it here. So after this, you have the hash, the message, and the key in the private key. So when you send to blockchain, you send three things. You send the hash, you send the message, and you send the public key. So what you send to the blockchain is the public key, not the private key. Look, this is very important. You send to the blockchain public key, not private key. So in the blockchain, what they do is that they will validate, they will take the hash, they do a decrypt function with the public key, and they check if the hash is equal to the message. If it's equal, then the validator can say that, hey, I don't know this, let's say I don't know I don't know who you are, and I never know your private key, but because of this equal, this function return true because they equal, then I know that you own the private key. So basically this is how blockchain works. And normally the decrypt and encrypt function in here in blockchain, this one and this one in Solana, the use function name ED25519. However, from June in Solana, they support this function SECP25one. So why this function is important? Because this function is actually the passkey. So this is the passkey. So what is that? Passkey is actually a, 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 a piece of information in your phone or in your computer. I mean, never, whenever there's a modern phone, iPhone or Android or modern computers, they support passkey already. So now whenever you send information to blockchain, you actually, in Solana, you can use your passkey in your phone and your computer as a mechanism for you to prove to blockchain that you are you. This is very essential because in the past, this, look, the whole sending things and decrypting everything in here is actually doing by something we call a wallet. So all of this, on I mean this, the encrypt function and the sending is done by a software that we call them the wallet. However, when we use the passkey, thing change. We don't need the wallet anymore. Now with the passkey with ED5551, this is the wallet. Can be Phantom, can be MetaMask, or I mean in Solana it's in Phantom. However, when we use the passkey, which is at ECP256R1, this is the operating system. I can use like Android, it can be iOS, Android, Mac OS, or Windows, or whatever operating system out there. This is for me a huge improvement to Solana UX because now you don't need to use a wallet. You don't need to install a wallet software to interact with Solana anymore. Just use or iOS, Android, or whatever, so you can interact with blockchain. For me, this is a huge deal because now you don't have to install anything. You just open a website, and in that website, immediately you can use blockchain. So let me give you one example. One example is, let's say you open a website, right? Let's say some website with a, let's say camino.com, and right now for you to use camino.com, you have to install in your browser or browser extension which is Phantom, which is doing this job. But now you don't have to do that. If Camino support Passkey, you just use Passkey, and you can use Camino directly in your browser. You don't have to install anything. So this is the amazing thing about blockchain. Using this technology, you can use blockchain without install anything, and blockchain is available to anyone with a browser. Look, it is amazing. People tell me that app is the future, but I think yeah, app might be the future. But now what we are doing experiencing right now is the web. Web is the now, is the present, is the now. And Passkey will enable any website can be the app. You don't need to install any wallet application for you to use the app anymore. Just your website. So this is one of the amazing things that I want to share with you about Passkey. But look, this is more funny. So in this model, whenever you use a website and the website will interact with Phantom and send it to the server, right? Let me draw it in here. So let's say that you open the app in here and you drop the app in here, and whenever you, and this is a validator, right? And your have like your computer in here, this is your computer. So your computer will interact with the app, and the app send information to your, you interact, so that the app will send information to your computer. It actually prepare all information in here, send to your computer, and your computer, what it do with that, it will use a wallet in here, and it prepare all the transaction, and it send to the validator or the RPC. In this case, normally it's RPC. So this is how things normally work. However, this creates a big problem. What happens if the app UX, the app UI, is usually the UI in here. What happens if the UI in here is compromised? So if the UI is compromised, and you can see in the social networks recently, you have the supply chain attack, which is usually the guy who developed the UI in here, he had to use a lot of library, and because he used a lot of library, then it's easy for hacker to maybe somehow compromise the GitHub of some of the people who write some JavaScript library and provide to him, and now he used that to develop his website, and now the website is the app is compromised, and this is called the supply chain attack because it attacked in the supply chain for the people who write the app. And now this creates a big problem because if you compromise, and whoever side the transaction and everything in here, you it might it cannot steal your private key. It cannot, because the wallet application is not going to expose your private key to anyone. So actually, even this is compromised, the chance that you lose your private key is very low. But the big problem is, if it's compromised, then it creates another problem. Then it can send your fund to other people. So this actually a hack, because let's say you go to a website, you go to the app, you send something to the app, and then your fund is sending to to the other hacker. So if this is compromise, and then what they can do is that it send the transaction to the RPC, and then in the RPC, it will send the fund from your computer to the hacker. So this is the short explanation of what is a supply chain attack and how it works. However, with Passkey, we can solve this solution in a different way. Look. So because the key we are using right now is SECP256R1, which is, this key is not a standard key for Solana. Solana validator, they can validate this key, but this key is not a standard one, and it cannot hold SOL, which is the gas fee. So when you do use this model, what you do is that this is your phone in here, you sign the transaction, right? You sign transaction, but then you have to send the transaction to a relayer, which is a computer that is server that is going to help you pay the SOL and send to the RPC. So the model for blockchain to work with Passkey is a little different. You use your phone in here, you sign the transaction with Passkey, and it's sent to the relayer. In the relayer, it's sent to the RPC, and the relayer will be the one that pay the transaction fee. So you don't directly pay transaction fee with this model. You use a relayer to pay the transaction fee for you. Maybe you have a question like, is it safe because I send my transaction to the relayer? Can they change something in my transaction? So my answer to you is it cannot, because whenever you sign the transaction in here, you send it here. So you actually don't, sorry, the correct term is you don't sign transaction, but you sign information in the transaction and you send it in here. And then you send it to the RPC, and actually you send it to a smart contract in here, which is a smart wallet. And the smart wallet or the smart contract in here, they will verify to make sure that whatever information signed in here is coming from the person in here. So let's say that I have this package, I send to the relayer, they mess it up and they send to the RPC, it will fail because the smart wallet, they can check everything and they will find out that actually the information is incorrect. So this is very safe, I say, and uh, and in Solana, actually, if you use Solana for a while, you will realize that sometimes you use this model, especially if you use a bot and everything. This model is already there. So come back. So this model is to set up this and make Passkey popular. It takes a little bit work because we have to build up the relayer. However, this model is very interesting in this case because suppose that you use the Passkey, you interact with the app in here. You interact with the app, and the app will send you a prepared transaction, right? And it's going to send to the RPC. But instead of sending directly to the RPC, you send to the relayer. And now relayer, they can become a security service. So think about relayer as antivirus of the blockchain era. So whenever you send a transaction in here, it will check everything in here. And then if it's clear, then it will send to the RPC. So if your app is compromised, it go through here. In the layer in here, they can implement some check to see that if it's abnormal transaction or anything. Then if it's abnormal, then they don't send it to the RPC. They only send a correct transaction to a normal transaction to the RPC. You can ask me why they can do it better. Look, right now, so the thing that we are doing in here, the technical term is transaction simulation. Right now, when you use Solana and you use Phantom, you already using transaction simulation. So maybe you don't know, but maybe do some research about Blowfish. So Blowfish is the one that provides transaction simulators for Phantom. But the problem is that Phantom, they serve everyone, right? Phantom, they don't know you personally. They don't know what is the abnormal activity and what is the normal. And you never have a security option for Phantom. And Phantom is actually never make money from protect you from abnormal transaction. What they do is that they actually for Phantom, they make money from swap and everything. However, for RPCs and for relayers, it can change because now you can actually choose the relayer you want. Suppose that I can interact with 100 the app, but I will choose a relayer that I maybe subscribe to a service to a relayer, and I give you some information about me, some information about what is the transaction that I want to go through. I set some rule in there. So every time that the transaction go through, the relayer will do a security check for me and make sure that no malicious action is coming from my passkey. So this is very important, and this can protect people and avoid the supply chain attack. So that is one thing that Passkey can help you. So today I already go through what is Passkey and what is supply chain attack and how Passkey can protect you from that. The third thing I want to cover today is how Passkey will be a game changer for wallet. So let's look at this model. This model, you have a private key and a public key. If your private key is compromised, then your public key is useless because now the hacker will have your private key and they can do anything with your public key or your let's say your bank account on blockchain. But with Passkey, it's a little bit different because now whenever you use a Passkey to create a wallet, let me draw it in here. Your Passkey in here is your phone, and now you have a wallet, right? A wallet, but this is a smart wallet, and this smart wallet is actually a smart contract. So what you can do is that you can create another rule, so another wallet, another passkey can interact with the wallet, or you can add how many passkey as you want. A wallet can 10 passkey can access to a wallet, and because this is programmable. So what you can do is that you can create rules in here. Let's say that you can create let's say the normal use case that I usually tell people is you can use passkey to create a smart wallet, and then you can create a backup key. Let's say you lose your phone in here, so another phone can go to it and remove the phone that you lose. So you can lose your device, it's okay. If you have a backup device at home, just go back and remove the compromised device from your key from your wallet. This is a Web 2 experience already. So what I want to emphasize in here is if you use Passkey infrastructure, Web3 experience now become very user friendly, just like Web2. So smart wallet is another kind of like blockbuster for blockchain, as I say. That's another thing you can do. So let's say that you can create a smart wallet for a company, and then the CEO in here can assign multiple people in the company can spend from the smart wallet. Think about it now. Let's say we are in blockchain. You have a team of like 5 people, right? And you hold the key because you are the CEO, but then someone in the company need to spend something. What they do is that they either have to spend from your wallet and they go back to you and claim the money, or you have to advance them to some money and they spend, but however the money is spending from their wallet. It creates a problem when you do accounting. In here the situation is very simple. You assign, like let's say you are the CEO in here, you create a smart wallet and you become the admin, you can have backup key, whatever, but then you can assign like other passkey can spend from this wallet and never the transaction is go from this, but you have rules in here. Rule one, rule two, because it's programmable. You can say that, okay, I'm the CEO, I can spend whatever I want, but this guy is employee and he can spend up to $100 per day and maximum like $5,000 per month. So you can set up those kind of rule. So for Passkey, now you have Web2 user experience in Web3. That is amazing. Uh, okay, so one of the team in Superteam is doing this is Lazorkit, and they're building all of this infrastructure. So you can follow them on Twitter and see what they are doing. Okay, let me sum up what I explained for you today. I explained 3 things. One, what is, private key, public key, and passkey. That is number one thing. Second thing, I explained to you how passkey can make security in Solana better with better UX. And 3, I explained for you smart wallet and what is the breakthrough is going to bring to blockchain. I hope that these 3 will make sense to you and make you a little bit curious and find out more about passkey and maybe find out about Lazorkit. The team is building this infrastructure for Solana. And this is total decentralized because all of the smart contract is running on blockchain. Anyone can run Relayer, and whoever can run Relayer can become a separate business because they can track a little bit whenever someone signs transaction and send transaction to them. But this is another topic. I hope you understand this concept, and yeah, see you soon in another topic with Super Team Vietnam. Bye.